The next is from the state of North Carolina, the Ergonomics Resource Center, represented and presented by Angela Waldorf and Gary Moore.
Good morning. Carol's hands hurt nearly all the time. It is difficult for her to do the simple things we all take for granted, like brush her teeth or comb her hair. She developed carpal tunnel syndrome from years of typing. For the last 7 months, she has been unable to work. Her prognosis is not good. It is likely that she will become another of the 5,000 North Carolina workers permanently disabled every year by carpal tunnel syndrome, one of a class of musculoskeletal disorders including back strains and tendinitis, collectively known as cumulative trauma disorders or CTDs. Occupational CTDs caused by repetitive motion, awkward postures, and lifting are one of the most serious safety problems facing workers and employers today. It has reached epidemic proportions in our factories as well as our boardrooms, where journalists and lawyers can be as much at risk as workers who sew our clothes together. By the end of this decade, 75% of the working population will perform jobs that could cause CTDs, and the price tag for workers' compensation alone will approach $500 million annually in North Carolina. Employee turnover, recruitment, and loss of productivity will drive the true cost even higher. Those of us charged with regulating safety and health in the workplace are frustrated that too much of our time and attention has been focused on whether or not to regulate and not enough on how to keep our workers healthy and on the job. A practical solution had to be found that would result in quick intervention to address the problem by establishing a partnership relationship with employers rather than an adversarial one. The Ergonomics Resource Center was created by the North Carolina Department of Labor and North Carolina State University to educate and reach out to employers and employees to help them prevent this costly and crippling workplace problem. The center is successfully using engineering, work practice, and administrative controls, physical conditioning, and medical intervention to prevent CTDs. Employees who know what works are a vital part of the process. As a result of this intervention, workers are working pain-free, employers are saving money, and we in the Department of Labor are using our limited resources to prevent CTDs, not just fine for them. Good news has traveled fast regarding the positive results of our efforts. The states of Maryland and Washington are actively working on replicating our program, and the General Accounting Office is sending down a team of investigators later this month to report to Congress on how employers can be motivated to voluntarily implement effective ergonomic programs. And now Gary Moore will tell you how implementing our effective ergonomics program has worked for his company and the people that work there.
Thank you, Angela. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, allow me to take you back to 1991 when our company employed approximately 1,000 people in 6 manufacturing plants, producing well over 200,000 dozen pairs of socks each week. At that time, a silent epidemic was plaguing our company. More and more of our employees were complaining of pain. Morale was low, our turnover and absenteeism was very high, and our productivity was at an all-time low. It took the North Carolina Department of Labor to sound the wake-up alarm. They said to us, "You need an ergonomics program." We said, "Ergonomics?" A word, quite frankly, we had to look up in the dictionary. The problem we now know was caused by cumulative trauma disorders. After a period of soul-searching, we implemented an ergonomics program that basically changed our company dramatically. We implemented on-site medical management in which we encouraged our employees to report pain early so that we could take care of them early on. We developed engineering controls that fitted the workstation to the employee adding adjustable platforms, trays, and ergonomic chairs. We introduced flex time so that our employees could set their own work schedules. And we set up employee task force so that they themselves could help identify and solve problems. Our program has several benchmarks and has been adopted now by the National Association of Hosiery Manufacturers. And the true significance of this for us is that in 1991, we lost 1,653 workdays due to cumulative trauma disorders. Ladies and gentlemen, today, with 700 more employees, we have lost 0 workdays due to cumulative trauma. And ladies and gentlemen, you could say our Ergo program has knocked our socks off. Thank you very much. Angela, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
First question from David.
Ms. Waldorf,
Yes.
can I be clear on this? Are you saying that North Carolina is the first state in the country to embrace such a program?
We are the first state in the country to put a partnership together with enforcement, academia, and business to bring together all of the resources an employer needs to solve their problem. It can be services delivered by the center, ranging from train the trainer to developing sophisticated re-engineering design for, say, a line, a manufacturing line. We also have we have a collection of consultants and physicians that can make those services available privately. So we serve as an umbrella organization also.
So what were other states doing at the time you began your program? How was yours different from those?
It was small pieces. A university would have a consulting program that would be either engineering or there would be maybe a medical program, but nothing comprehensive, and certainly nothing that brought the enforcement element into it. That is absolutely unique.
The next question from Antonio, followed by Barbara.
I understand that in South Carolina there's a large, how can I say, poultry, chicken killing industry, and there have been a lot of reported medical problems with the repetitive nature of that industry. Have you had any success in ameliorating that situation?
Yes, Purdue Farms was the first company that was cited for ergonomic deficiencies in 1989. In the first 2 years of the implementation of this type of program under a settlement agreement, they reduced their workers' compensation costs by 70%. And in a monitoring visit to their facilities in North Carolina, we had 80 to 90% of their workers respond favorably to various questions related to their working conditions and their training.
Barbara?
Mr. Moore, I want to talk just a minute about cost savings. You talked about pain and you talked about work days lost, which have some financial costs, obviously.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what you believe the savings in your workers' compensation rates were, or your dollar savings there based on the lack of injuries related to the ergonomic issue? And also, you talked about your productivity being down because of the problem earlier. Can you speak to what that change meant to the profitability of your company?
To address the first question, the workers' compensation cost for Kentucky Derby Hosiery, quite frankly, in '91 was a true nightmare. We were in the assigned risk pool and paying 3 times, or approximately 3 times, what we should have been paying in the workers' compensation fund. It's hard, and yes, we do have to look at the bottom line, of course, and I appreciate that question. We have to live with that every day. But in our culture, in our mission, when we say that our employees are our most valuable resource, then cost is not a factor. Because why would you want your most valuable resource working in pain? Cost is a factor, but our employees are more of a factor. Our current production is approximately 1.5 million dozen pairs of socks per week. I would say that probably it was about 50% below what it should have been back in 91 and 92 due to the fact that we had so many employees out of work with pain.
Thank you.
Yes, Max.
Some of the material that we have would indicate that in the resolution of the ergonomic problems, that essentially you could almost put it into a checklist of most of the things, and then you have to tailor it. Is that not a great part of the solution, and then it's just utilizing it? I'm wondering about the programmatic aspects. Once you've gone to the center, you've identified, and these things are available for everyone to know, then it's a matter of doing them.
Education is probably one of the most critical missions of the center. Although CTDs are one of our fastest growing problems, it's also one of our most recorded problems. While the solutions sound simple, they have to be tailored to each individual workplace and to the working population that's in that particular facility. We spend a lot of time training the trainer to go in. We're trying to teach companies to fish instead of giving them fish, and train people to recognize the problem as well as typical solutions that could solve those problems.